encyclopedia at 17 years old, and it said that 95% of the wealth in the world comes from people investing in real estate. And so at 17, that was sort of an epiphany moment for me. So a year out of college, I started buying houses in DC. My goal at the time was to buy one property a year, buy and hold strategy. And so I did that for a number of years, bought and held one property. And then the real estate agents that I was working with weren't moving fast enough for me. And so I decided to get my real estate license. And so I got my real estate license, started selling real estate, did very well selling real estate. Started a real estate brokerage, and I've been in the brokerage business since '07, all the while investing. And so every type of investment strategy I've done. And we'll talk about like creative strategies today as well. And so we have a coaching program, our platinum coaching program. There's many of our current students here, past students here that have done well, including these guys here. And so I asked them to come and sit on the stage with me to go over some real live deals that they've done. And so today we're going to go over some case studies of properties that they've done, maybe one or two of mine, just to give you guys an idea that this is real and you can make real money. And we're just ordinary people. Just ordinary. I mean, just look at Andre. I said, Andre, you're going to be on stage, dress up, and then look at him.
I'm sorry. I'm always trying to be comfortable because I'm in the How y'all doing?
And so we're just ordinary people that want to be great and want to be extraordinary, want to live up to our fullest potential. And we all feel that real estate investing is one of the ways that we're going to get there. And so why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Tell everybody how you guys got started, and then we'll get into the case studies.
My name is Andre Cooper. I got into real estate investing. I've always had a passion for real estate, and I used to watch HGTV all the time. So I wound up buying a property in Baltimore maybe 5 or 6 years ago, or something like that. And I wanted to acquire more properties. So I said, I need some money. So, I was told that, to sell real estate, so you can, invest in real estate. So I said, you know what? I never seen myself as a realtor, but I wound up just taking a leap and just became a realtor. And, since then, I just been selling real estate, wholesaling, and buying and holding. So, you know what I mean? I'm into doing it.
Okay, Iris?
Hi, I'm Iris. I have been in real estate since 2006, and I purchased properties back then, maybe 3, and I joined Greg's group last year. Yeah, last year. And during COVID, I purchased 4 properties, and I am a buy and hold person. I want to do wholesaling though. So I'm interested in doing wholesaling, but I like buy and hold too.
Jay?
Beyonce is my name.
I'm sorry.
Many times we could go for this.
I'm sorry.
Hi guys, my name is Beyonce. Some people call me Jay. Started off as a real estate litigator in New York. Moved here moved back here 2019. Purchased about 33 tax liens in Baltimore City. And then found Greg's coaching program and wanted to sort of expand my skill set in terms of wholesaling and maybe even flipping. And so been a part of his program for about a year now, and it's been good. It's been really good.
All right, so let's get started. I'll start really quickly with one of my properties. There's a separate handout that starts with the settlement sheet on it. You guys see this one? When you get to this, say amen. Amen. We in church. We in church. Won't he do it? All right, so this is an example of a creative financing strategy. So I found this property. I talked about this last night. We had a mastermind with our coaching students. and I talked about this property. This is a property in Baltimore. I think all of us have purchased property probably in the last 12 months in Baltimore. And so I've purchased all over, but I like Baltimore because it's the #1 residential rental area city in the United States, because you can buy low and rent high. And so I buy low and rent high in Baltimore. The downside about Baltimore is very, very little appreciation. And so we invest in real estate for 2 reasons. #1, equity and appreciation. We want to buy that asset, and over a period of time, we want to see it go up in value. When it goes up in value, the difference between what it's worth and what you owe is called your equity. And there's many, many things you can do with the equity. And so that's why we buy real estate. Also, we buy real estate for the monthly cash flow if we're buying and holding. And so this particular property, one of my investors, actually one of my real estate agents found this one. She was trying to wholesale this property for $110,000. So she was wholesaling. She had put it under contract, I believe, for about $60,000 or $70,000, and she was trying to sell it for $110,000. You guys with me?
Mhm.
And I took a look at it and I said the numbers, they just don't work for where this property is. Patterson Park in Baltimore. Some of you guys are familiar with Patterson Park. And so I said no. I just kind of let it go. It kept coming back to me. And so here's what I said. I said, go back to the seller, get the seller to go down. And so she was able to get the seller to go down to $50,000. And so I bought it for $50,000 and paid a $10,000 wholesale fee. And so if you look at the settlement sheet, and the house was renovated about 3 or 4 years ago. So it was renovated 3 or 4 years ago, so it didn't need a lot of work. There's an absentee owner, out of state, write this down. She was an out of state absentee owner, which means for me, it means that the out of state absentee owner, they don't like dealing with a lot of issues because they're out of state. Tenant issues, city issues, they don't like dealing with that stuff. So I knew I sort of had a leg up and we could really negotiate. And so I paid the wholesaler outside of settlement, which means the $10,000 is not on here. And then so here's what I did with the owner. I gave her a call. I said, we're going to be going to settlement in about a week or 2. I'm having a hard time getting financing. Can we do this? Can I give you $25,000 at settlement? So if you look at the settlement sheet, if you go down to the debits on the left-hand side under seller, you see 25,000 seller take back. You guys see that? So it's a debit to the seller. And if you look all the way across, it's a credit for me, meaning I owe another $25,000. So I paid $25,000 up front. And I said, if you hold a note for the other $25,000, I'll buy this property from you and I'll pay you back in March. We closed in December. So I didn't have to go out and get a loan. I didn't get a loan on this one. I used seller financing. And so I paid the 25 and she held a note, a balloon loan, or they signed a promissory note for 25,000. You guys with me?
Yeah, so that line there where it says seller take back is the line for the seller financing.
Right.
Got it to you, okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you turn to page 3, this is the note that I signed to her. So the note basically says at the bottom of the first paragraph, or at the top it says 25,000. The bottom it just simply says that it will be paid, if not sooner, prepaid by the obligor. That's me, obligor. Any outstanding principal and interest shall be due and payable March 2nd. So she held a note for 90 days, and so that's paid. And so now the property is owned free and clear. Another reason why I didn't want to get financing is because this was in December. And what started happening like October, November,
Rates going
December,
up.
interest rates were going up. And I didn't want to deal with that. And so I was wholesaling a couple other properties in the meantime. I wholesaled a property, gave it a 25,000. I knew within 90 days, I was going to wholesale another one. So I just used the wholesale deals. Now I own this property free and clear. And so I'm going to renovate this property. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. I'm going to rent this property. And then I have options. I can hold on to it and own it free and clear. The rent's going to be close to $2,000 a month, or I can refinance, get a lump sum of money back, 70% of the after repair value, and it's probably worth close to 200,000, about maybe 180, 190. I get 70% of that through a refinance. Take that money, you guys with me, and then do what with that money?
Reinvest
Huh?
another deal. Reinvest another deal. Another deal.
Do it again.
Not go buy a Bentley with it? Don't do that?
No, go to
Huh?
Vegas, no.
Huh? You sure?
Absolutely.
Don't go to Miami with that money?
Don't go to Miami. Stay
Some
away.
of it.
How much is the rehab going to be?
Probably about 20,000. The house was completely renovated about 3 or 4 years ago. And because the owner was absentee and out of state, she just wasn't coming back checking on the property. So the tenants just kind of tore it up. And it was market rate tenants. It wasn't Section 8. Because with Section 8, at least Section 8 will come and check on the property at least once a year. She just let them, and then she just got so upset that she finally and they stopped paying rent. That's why we're all advocates of Section 8, because Section 8 is going to pay, and they're going to come check on the property. And so she was just willing just to go ahead and just sell the property. So this is an example, you guys, and here's all the paperwork. The first 3 pages of this on a creative financing strategy, where if you can find a motivated seller, we can ask the seller to either take back some of the financing, all the financing. There's other creative financing strategies like subject to, where we buy properties. If she would have had a mortgage on this property, I would have suggested to her for me to take over the mortgage, keep the mortgage in her name, but I would just take over the mortgage if the numbers work, if it fit our formula. I would have just taken over her mortgage and then renovated the property, rented it out, refinanced, and paid off the mortgage. You guys with me? That's called a subject to purchase. Any questions on the owner financing or creative financing?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So on your assignment of contract, right?
No, that's a different property.
Oh,
I'll get into
okay.
that at the end. Gone too
Okay.
far.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. Okay,
Another question about the subject too. Is that the same as like a contract for deed?
probably, yeah. There's different names for that. Back in the day, we called them land installment contracts. We call them subject twos now, but yeah, you can do it that way as well.
And essentially with that, so you're paying the mortgage, which is still in the owner's name. There's documentation showing that you still have some type of, I guess, responsibility for the property. And then there's like a clause in there that says that once you have the money to pay up the loan, then it's now you own. That's how that works?
Well, yeah, you pay off, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's how it works. All right, any other questions? All right, Jay, you're up. So on page 3, this is a property in Baltimore. Give us the story on it, Jay. No, on the other handout. Yeah, it's on the other handout.
Okay, so this property I purchased from a online auction called Ashland Auction. So it's on the west side, 21216. So I own a couple properties on the west side. I like the area. For those of you guys that have been to Windsor, it's about maybe 5 or 6 minutes from there.
Wait, hold on,
I don't
Jay.
know what she is.
Let me see the
It's
handout.
on this.
The other handout.
No, it's on, and so we're now speaking from the first this handout. And so Jay, this one is,
Page 2.
Aruna.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Just to make sure everybody follows.
As I was saying.
You said Windsor, right? I saw Harry's head peek up.
Yeah, for those of you guys that have seen Windsor,
Oh,
it's
okay.
6 minutes away.
Okay.
Okay, so,
My bad.
where was I? You guys know? Do you know where I was, Greg?
How you found the
I
property?
found the property on Ashland Auction, so it's an online auction called Ashland Auction. So it's super, I know somebody had asked me, how do you bid online? It's super easy, just create an account. They're gonna ask you to, have a credit card, so whenever you wanna bid, they'll just have to hold, like on the credit card, $2,000, I think, and then you can bid. And if you win, then you'll have to put down your deposit. It'll show you what your deposit is, what the earnest money will be. Just keep in mind that whatever the top bid is, you'll owe 10%. I think that's what Ashland is, 10% of whatever that. So if I purchase a property for $50,000, I'll owe $50,000 plus 10% premium to
And
Ashland.
I think in the Ashland auction is 5%?
5% or is it 10?
Yeah, 5%.
5%, sorry. So 5%, so $2,500. So just keep that in mind when you're bidding and to make sure your numbers work.
Is that the buyer premium that they talk about online?
Yes.
Yeah.
And are you saying Ashton, A-S-H-T-O-N, Ashland?
Yes.
A-S-H-L-A-N-D. Okay.
Sorry, my accent may be a little bit wrong. Ashland Auction. And so, yeah, you can sign up with them. I get like, I'm specifically signed up for Baltimore because that's where I like to invest. And so they send me stuff like every day, probably twice a day sometimes. So I ended up winning this property for, I think it ended up being 48,000 plus, or 40, maybe 45 or 40, I can't remember. It's so long ago, and I purchased two in that same month. But I think it was 48,000 plus the buyer's premium. And so I bid like right at the end, like when it's down to like 30 seconds, and I'll be like, aha, me. So that's how I bid. That's my strategy. So I won the auction. Before then, though, I had done research. So Ashland Auction, because I'm signed up with them, I get to see what's coming up. And so what I'll do is I'll run comps, and then I'll run comps in terms of after repair value. And then I'll also run comps with regard to the rent rate in that area. That way I can already have an idea as to where I want to bid and how my numbers are going to work according to that. And so that's what I did. So I also, with Baltimore, even though I know it's the west side, I also went to the area. So for those of you guys that are part of the coaching program, will join today or whatever, we're gonna go see this property. So it's a good probably way to put paper to an actual property. So, okay, so the community it's rentable, right? I mean, I'm not gonna probably sit on the porch for here too long. I'm just like in and out. But some other properties are a little bit different, but the numbers work, so that's where we're at.
And so why did you choose this particular property?
No really rhyme or reason. I like the west side. I'm buying and holding. And then my numbers are gonna work. So in addition to, so also on the blurb, it'll tell you whether or not you can actually see the property, whether it's vacant and all that stuff. That's important to me. I don't wanna buy any more properties with tenants in them, not where I am right now. So it was a vacant property. So I just called up Ashland. They'll give me the lockbox code. And so I can go also assess my repairs. So that's also gonna factor into it. So these are things that I do ahead of time before bidding, so I'll know where to bid. And so that still make my numbers work.
Question.
So the assessment repairs, how do you, could you explain that process, like, how do you have a contractor go out with you, and how long does it normally take people to?
So that's a good question. So that's probably, and to just be candid, that's probably the roughest part. I can find them, I can finance them and all that stuff, but the assessing damages has been something that I just have had to learn. So being a part of the coaching program, Greg will come out, he'll look at it, he'll tell me what his thoughts are. You can get a contractor to come out with you if you want. So when I purchase a property, especially something that needs to be renovated like this, I like to have at least 4 different quotes. And every single time, each contractor tells me something different. So by the time it's the 4th quote, man, I'm a lean, mean spitting machine. Like, nope, I'm not doing that. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I pick up different stuff. I also like to go I'm a part of the coaching program too. So I like to go to the shadow events and see what they're assessing. Other properties that I've worked on, I take knowledge base from that. And then I really kind of rely on my peers as well.
And so when we're renovating properties to buy and hold, the way I renovate my properties the way I renovate my properties is Jay, can I speak?
Okay, go ahead. I'm just saying, go ahead, rag on me. It's fine. Go ahead.
I'm listening. What's the secret?
So I put in finishes that I know is gonna last, even though it's a rental. And so I'll put in a stone like granite because I know it's gonna last. Now there's different tiers of granite. So I pick the lowest tier and I put that in there. I don't put Formica in there. I don't put finishes that are gonna last 3 or 4 years. Right. I'll put granite, I'll put stainless steel, but the lower end stainless steel appliances. I don't put like the white appliances. I put in decent cabinets. And the real reason I'm picking on her, and she'll tell you why in a minute, but when we're renovating, a couple things. Number one, you want to make sure that that tenant loves that property and stays in that property. You want them to stay in because when we're buying and holding, the negative part about buying and holding is turnover. And so number one, we want to reduce turnover. And so every time the property is turned over, we go 2, 3, 4 months without income coming in. And we've got to spend money on sometimes flooring, sometimes paint, whatever. And so we want to reduce turnover. We want to keep our tenants in there as long as we can, 10 years, 15 years. And so I like putting in initially finishes that are going to last. And if I decide 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later to then sell the property, I don't have to go out and buy new countertops or flooring. It's all there already. There was a question.
Excuse me. I just wanted to add, leave it, let me know if you agree with it or not. Isn't it true that when you take care of the property and do those kind of finishes you talked about, that the tenant will also see that you take care of it, and they in turn a lot of times will also, when they know you're doing your inspections and you gave them quality, but when you don't and they think you're a slumlord, then they would treat your property that way too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the Section 8 tenant, like I said earlier, Section 8 is going to make them take care of the property. Every year they're going to do an inspection. They're going to give the tenant a list of things to do. They're going to give the landlord a list of things to do. If the tenant doesn't do those things, they kick them out the program. And some of the tenants have been on the waiting list for 5 years. And so they do everything they can to stay in. And so I would highly advise when we're renovating our properties to put in finishes that are good and decent and make the property look like as if you would want to live there. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, Jay.
I don't have anything else to say.
And so my coaching students have coined a phrase, and I know this is being recorded, but they've coined a phrase. What is it, Marquise? Yeah. And so I have one of my real estate agents that is a top investor in Baltimore. He's probably has, 20 some properties in Baltimore. And when he renovates the property, he does sort of what I would consider kind of the bare minimum to rent it out. If I'm spending, let's say, $20,000 on a property, he might spend half of that just to get it. But he rents them out. Like I put in an HVAC system. He doesn't believe in putting in, he puts in window units. He doesn't believe in that. And I'm not saying if you're buying in Baltimore not to do window units. He's got a good reason why he doesn't put in a full HVAC system. I just want to do it because I don't want to have to do it later. And while we're renovating the property, I just do it. But he's got a good reason why he does it. And so unfortunately, I've taken our coaching students to some of Marquise's properties, unfortunately. And so, and when Marquise says, I'm only spending $12,000, their ears perk up. And so some renovate like it's a Marquise property instead of one of mine. Am I right about it?
You are, but this property.
Oh, here comes the lawyer. Here comes the lawyer.
Here comes the lawyer.
She get ready to defend herself.
This property though, if you guys will see for those of you guys that are part of the program, but it has to be done all over anyway, so it's gonna be very nice.
Oh, good. I'm glad to see that.
In her defense.
So we're doing a shadow. So with the coaching program, we do a shadow event once a month, and we go to each other's properties. And so tomorrow is our shadow event for March. We go at least once a month, and so we'll see this one of Jay's tomorrow. So we'll decide for ourselves. How did you finance that property?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you pay cash,
Yeah.
and so are you gonna bird this one?
Yes.
Go
So,
ahead.
okay, so again, I'm like in between, like, for those of you guys who know Marquise's story, he pretty much moves all cash. Greg believes in other people's money. I'm like a hybrid between the two, coming more so towards what Greg said, because obviously I don't have unlimited money. So I hit a road and I have to stop until I get my money back out the properties, and anything can happen. So for example, I purchased Windsor, I don't know, for about like maybe 120. And then I put in maybe about 15,000 for renovation. I was ready to get out of it, except that somebody retired in Baltimore City's lien cert office. And so I was delayed 3 months. So that's 3 months where I thought I was gonna be able to refinance, and now I'm on hold because we can't get a lien cert. They can't close title can't close without a lien cert. So that's an example of probably, why other people's money is important. So I haven't quite gone to money lenders yet. I've gone to private money, my mom. So I'm probably gonna use her money for the rehab and pay her. We've already worked out, pay her a percentage on the back end. So I'll factor that into my numbers as well. So think about that too. When you're thinking about whether or not your numbers work, think about the finance costs. But now is a really excellent time to buy. You can buy even because the interest rates are so high, you can even buy super low. So the burr will work for sure.
So when I say that she's gonna burr, go ahead.
I'm sorry. With burring, because I did that this last year, I find that it's really hard, and to me, I feel like it's hard. Again, I'm new at it, so I probably don't know what I'm doing either. But with the interest rates so high and using hard money lenders and whatnot, I just find that all my money is lost in all the costs, right? And the rents aren't going up as much as they need to for the
Right.
mortgage to make sense. So how do you make that successful and just fund it?
And so the answer is you've got to buy the property right.
Right.
And so what I teach is the Mayo formula. Mayo's MAO, maximum allowable offer, 70% of the after repair value minus repair costs. And so at the very least, that's where we've got to buy. But we know that we're in a shifting market, and the value of the property may be less, but from the time you buy the property to the time you're ready to refinance, let's just say 6 months from now, which means that you've got to buy that property maybe at 65% instead of 60%, because the market is shifting. And it's going to continue to shift until probably the end of the year, until the interest rates start coming down. And so in order to burr correctly, burr is BRRRR. We want to buy the property right. We want to renovate the property. We want to rent the property out, preferably Section 8. And then we're going to refinance the property and get all of our money back. And then we're going to repeat the process. We can't refinance the property and get all of our money back if we can't refinance at that 70%. So you want to make sure you're able to refinance at 70% loan to value to get your money back. The lender's only going to lend at 70% because the market is shifting where we were buying these properties at in terms of interest rates. Now interest rates have gone up. And so we want to make sure that we get our money back so we can repeat the process. If we didn't buy the property right or the market shifted on us, and we can't get our money back. And now we're holding, like Jay said, now we don't have money to continue the process.
One last question, I don't want to dominate, but
You're dominating the conversation.
yeah. But what I've also found is so I have learned from that, right? And so I try to price it right, but I haven't found a realtor that's willing to take that risk with me and do offers, right? Because you're supposed to do a ton of offers before you get that one in, whatever. But most of the real estate agents that I've had are like, that's way lower than what they're gonna take, and they're not willing to, yes.
Get your real estate license. And so it was for that reason that I got my real estate license many years ago. I was an investor like you, I'm investing, and then the real estate agents were just moving too slow for me. They weren't doing what I wanted. I wanted my own access to the MLS. So, and again, this was many years ago, I said, I'm just gonna get my own license. And so I would highly advise because of that, now you're depending on yourself. It's like self-preservation. You're depending on yourself instead of depending on someone else to make your offers. And so that would be my advice. Because I can tell you that these guys are realtors. There's a ton of realtors in here. Look at them, they raising their hand. But the reality, this is the reality. They don't want to spend their time just making offers. They don't want to just making offers on $30,000 homes, $40,000 homes, $50,000 homes. They don't want to waste their time doing that. And then hopefully, the seller will take your offer, and most times they won't. And then if it's a $50,000, they're getting 3%. They spend a whole lot of time to make $1,500. And so my recommendation would be to get your license.
So I'm not an agent, and I've never purchased through an agent ever. I find my own deals. So it's tons of ways, and I found those ways from the coaching program. But so many different with tax liens, advertising, marketing, and finding your own deals. And when you have options, do I want to wholesale it? Do I want to flip it? Do I want to buy and hold it? Those were my options for my District Heights property I just purchased. I found that on my own through a marketing strategy that I learned from Greg. This property, for example, I found in Ashland auction. So
there's ways of finding property without
yeah,
agent.
for sure. Not an agent.
I walk neighborhoods that I like. So that's how I find my properties. So I will pick a neighborhood, say for instance, in Baltimore. I chose a neighborhood that I like, and I walk the neighborhood, and I put my business card in every door. And 2 weeks later, someone called and said, hey, you put your business card in my door. And I asked her what address, because I'm walking the neighborhoods, and she told me exactly what address it was. And I knew that I loved that neighborhood. So I made the appointment for the next morning. I will be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Does that work for you? So she said, yes. I go to the property, and I asked her how much did she want. She said 127. I said, I can offer you 115 cash, and we can close in 7 days. And that's because when I went to the class, that was what they was teaching in the platinum class, to say that. I didn't have $115,000, but that's what I told her. And she said, I will get back to you. So later she calls me and she said, yes, we have a deal. So what I had to do was find $115,000. So I called around to like 3 different people and asked them, do they know a hard money lender? And all 3 people said the same person. So I went to that hard money lender, got the 115. This particular property, I didn't have to do any work. So it was perfect, but I didn't know how much money to pull out. So 6 months later, that property appraised for $235,000.
Awesome.
That same hard money lender was also doing 30-year loans. So all I had to do was just transfer into the 30-year loan, pull the cash out that I put in, plus an extra 25. Boom, there's my money, and then bought another property. So similar to the Burr method. So I bought it, refinanced it, found a renter, and life was good.
Did your rents work? Did you get a net profit?
So I
After you
found,
refinance?
yes. So this person was paying $2,200 a month for this property. My mortgage was $1,000. So there's my $1,000 cash flow. The extra $200 went into an account for incidentals. So every month, $200 will go into that account for incidentals. So it's other ways that you can find properties besides using a realtor. That's my, what I'm saying.
Did the hard money lender knew that you were holding that property?
That's a good
It
question.
is.
Yes, he did. So
Usually they don't.
They want you to flip. They want their money back
Right,
in 6 months.
a lot of them want you to flip, but this particular lender, this was my first, this particular hard money person, this was my first time using him. They actually came out to the property to look at it. And he said to me, oh my gosh, where did you find this at? Give this neighborhood 5 to 7 years and it's gonna be turned around. So now this is year number 3.
Is that in Baltimore?
It is in Baltimore. It's not on the west side like Jay's, but it's right off of North Avenue, and that neighborhood is slowly changing. So yes, and yeah,
Parts of it is.
yeah. And I've used the same hard money lender for all of my properties that I
Was
purchased
it
in
a-
Baltimore.
Lima or Pimlico?
Which one? This one?
The
This one
lender.
is on, no, this is Truist.
Okay.
Truist, True, right,
How do you
so
spell that?
TRIUS,
So you did the DSCR loan?
Not
You
with
did
them.
private? Okay, you did.
yeah,
your
so I did the regular hard money loan under my business name and then refinanced with that same company because they were offering a regular 30-year. So I've bought 4 properties with them. So now I don't have to turn in any paperwork. I just call them and say, hey, I got a property, and tell them what the numbers are, and it's good. Yeah,
And they okay
Yeah.
with this, with the 70% ARV minus repair costs or 50%
yes.
ARV?
That's their lender. They're lending at those numbers anyway.
Period,
So
okay.
we go by those numbers.
Right,
One thing that I hope you guys didn't miss on what Iris said is she negotiated.
yeah.
And she only made that money because of the negotiation. And so all 3 of these guys and gals are really good and not afraid to negotiate. We got one in the back too, Dana. Stand up, Dana. They're all our coaching students. And Dana has had 6-figure wholesale deals, and because he knows how to negotiate. And they're not, tell us about the one, Jay, where they came back to you and you negotiated that one.
Yep. So Windsor, the very first purchase property, aside from the tax liens, property I purchased in Baltimore. So I went there. I really like the neighborhood, almost like no board ups. I'm comfortable there. So I was like, okay, do you want to know the real story? First month I joined the coaching program, we went to Iris's property, right? And I had in my mind, I was like, Iris is, she's killing it. And I was like, you know what? I said, in a couple months, they're gonna come see one of my properties. So I said, Iris, where'd you get this property from? She gave me the name of a wholesaler. That day I joined the wholesale list. Windsor came up. So I looked it up. I contacted Kathy. I said, can I see this property? She gave me a lot. It was like cosmetic stuff that needed to be done. So I think they wanted 124 for it. I called Greg. I said, what do you think about this property? He said, sounds good. I said, what should I offer? He said, offer 110. I was like, excuse me? Offer 110? He was like, yeah, just offer 110, see what they say.
She said,
I was like, okay, great. Now I'm definitely not gonna get the property. So I offered 110 and she was like, it was my first time. So I was like, I want to put an offer for 110. She was like, well, not if you want to get the property. And I was like, well, okay. Okay. So we got somebody else at 120. So I said, okay, well, I can come up to 117. So I contacted her later. I went to the property. I don't know, I'm a little weird. I have it in my mind. Yeah, that's my property. I don't care what she says. I have it in my mind. That's my property. So she contacts me in a couple of days and says the property's sold. I already told my mind that it's mine. So I just wait. I wait. So she comes back a couple of weeks later. She says, are you still interested in Windsor? I said, yeah. She said, okay, yeah, it's available for 117. I said, no, baby, we back at 110.
Now, why, so she said 117.
Yeah,
And so it's all about who has the leverage. And so if they came back to her, it must have meant they didn't have anybody else.
Right.
If she had said 117, when they came back to her at 117, she said, you're coming back to me. I got the leverage.
That's it.
I'll take it at 110. And what's the rest of the story?
So, I mean, it was a good deal even at 124. So it appraised, I think I put maybe, I think my number, all soft costs. I mean, even inspections, everything, under 15, in between, I think it was, I have it written down. It's between 13 and 15,000 is the only thing I need to do. And it appraised for 240.
Wow.
So it worked at 124. The thing is, I mean, you got to give me some money for breaking my heart a little bit in the interim.
So you got it for the 110.
I got it for 110, of course.
Yeah.
Did you hold it or?
I'm a buy and hold girl too. I got to learn to let some of the properties go. But I buy and hold.
And so my suggestion is, you guys, to buy and hold at least one property this year, but do them one at a time. Do them one at a time. Don't get too overzealous. Investing in real estate can be cash intensive. There's change orders, there's miscellaneous things that happen. Let's get through one deal at a time, because anything can come up on that one deal. And then we go to the next deal. Okay? Okay, Jay?
Okay.
All right.
I just had a question about, going back to what you said about the 60 to 65%. Were you saying that we should use 60-65% in this market instead of the 70?
Well, so we always use 65% of the after repair value minus repair costs when we're wholesaling. My suggestion is, if you can, let's get these properties at 65%, because we know the interest rates are going up, especially if you're holding the property, buying, holding, or flipping. The market is shifting, and it's going to continue to shift. Probably 2 more times interest rates are going to go up. Then at the end of this year, it should be coming back down. But because of that, we want our numbers to work. If you're holding, and if you're doing the Burr method, we're going to have to refinance out of that short-term loan, unless you use a hard money lender that will convert into the 30-year fixed. Let's try to make our numbers more favorable. And for that reason, you can make your numbers very, very favorable in Baltimore. And so that's why all of us invest in Baltimore, but you can make them very favorable in Baltimore. And so I suggest Baltimore if you're holding for now, but we probably all of us have buy and holds in other areas as well. All right, Iris, you're on. Let's talk about, was that 47th Street?
Yes.
All right, page 7, you guys. Page 7 of this handout right here. Tell us the story. How'd you find this one?
Okay, so, 4700 East Street Northeast. I went to, you got it?
It's deep.
I thought that was 47th Street. That's
Well,
it
it has
turns
2
into E?
addresses, and that's another thing. I don't know why, but the front of the house is 501 47th Street. The side of the house comes up as 4700 East Street. So this young lady right here, we went out to, that's my friend Felicia.
Hey,
She's
Felicia.
an agent. We went over to Deanwood neighborhood to see another investment property that I was interested in. But like I said, I walk the neighborhood. If I like the neighborhood, I walk the neighborhood. I walk the alleys. You know, I'm chatting with people as I'm going by. So we're driving down the street, and this particular property, the grass was really tall. And that's something that I learned in the coaching program, that, you know, look for properties that look a little, you know, grass tall, windows, maybe a couple of them busted out. You know, someone does not live there. So we saw this particular property, and I'm like, stop the car. And she was like, what? It's like, stop the car. I want to see this property. So I get out the car, I'm walking all through the grass, and I'm like, here is the for sale sign buried in the yard. I'm looking through the windows, and she was like, what are you doing? I said, I want to see what it looks like. So we're looking in the windows and everything like that. So long story short, she got the combo, we went inside. And as you can see, it's a really big property. It's very nice, sits on the corner. 47th and E Street, and that's in the Deanwood neighborhood, near Keller Miller Junior High School. So really nice neighborhood. So I was like, I want to put a contract on it. And she was like, oh, I said, I want to put a contract on it. So we went back and forth several times, making offers. It was an estate sale. Yeah, it was an estate sale. So we went back and forth several times, making offers. They would come back and say, no, we're not going to accept that. So like Greg said, you have to negotiate. And she was like, they're not going to go for that offer. I was like, just put it in. Let's just see if it'll work. And the first one we put in, they came back and they said, no, we're going to offer this much. And I was like, because at first this property was $525. We got it for $440. So after we kept negotiating and back and forth, I wound up paying $440 for it. If you look at the numbers of the cost to fix it up, it's like $86,000 to fix it up. I'm normally not a flipper, but I was going to flip this. The pricing over in that neighborhood is the high sevens. So the numbers work with the deal that I was going to do with it. So, excuse me, I had to put down 20% on this property. So that came up to about $90,000. So I got the $90,000 from the other 3 properties in Baltimore that I refinanced and pulled the cash out of. So the first one was the Homewood Avenue, and I pulled out 50 on that one. The second one I bought through a wholesaler like Jay, her name is Kathy. I bought that property for $87,000. I put $20,000 into it. 6 months later, it appraises for $265. Can you believe that? I'm like, really? What is it? And I used that cash out of that one to purchase this one in DC. I don't have any properties in DC. I always wanted the property in DC. I was looking more for a 4 or 6 unit, but they are so expensive that I said, no, I'm just going to continue to buy in Baltimore. And my number that I wanted to stop at from buying properties for buy and hold was 10. So I'm at 10 now. So now I want to try my hand at wholesaling. So that is what I'm going to do. And I've gone to several of the classes that Greg has, and also in the Platinum Coaching, we also have seminars and webinars on wholesaling. So I do want to start doing that, but my lucky number is 10 and I'm done buying properties, so I say, right? But yeah, but most of them, like I use hard money lenders. And with hard money lenders, you do have to put down 20%. So that's where a lot of people get tripped up with, is the 20%. But if you have something that you can refinance and pull the cash out of, that's a good way to do it. I have a property in Hyattsville that I only owe $50,000 on. They appraising over there for $340. So I just refinanced that and pulled the cash out, which was about $125 that I can pull out. And the tenants paid $2,300 a month. So it covers the new mortgage.
Which Hyattsville, the one by the PG Plaza or the one that's in Landover?
The Landover Hyattsville. If everybody here knows now, the Landover
So you
is
on
called,
85 or 84?
the Landover is called Hyattsville now.
No, I'm saying you 85 or
She's
84?
84.
2785, 2784. Zip code.
84. Landover
Oh,
is 85.
85. I knew it's one of them.
Landover.
85,
Yeah, so when
84.
you say Hyattsville, most people think of PG Plaza, East West Highway. But now Landover, Palmer Park, if anybody from
Yeah,
here, you know, that's now called Hyattsville.
because the area he's
I
talking
have
about
one
is
over
83 and
there.
82.
Hi,
How long you own that property and how is it?
I bought that, 1980, when you could buy anything on the block that you wanted to buy. People was running up and down the street on that block.
That's
But now-
where you're from, isn't it, Dana?
Yeah, it's right around the corner from yours, actually around the corner from yours, Greg. It's on Inwood Street,
Okay. so
right
mine-
off of
mine's on,
Firehouse Road,
Kent Town.
Kent Town,
Yeah.
yeah. So now it's all homeowners over there. Actually, on my block, me and my neighbor are the only two Black families left on the block. Yeah, Kentland, all Spanish families, homeowners and everything, so.
Dana actually wholesaled the one to me,
Oh, okay.
mine on Kent Town. Remember that one?
Oh, yes.
Are you all using personal credit or business credit, and which one do you use?
Me personally, I use business credit, never my personal credit, never my name. I always use my company, which is TLT Investments and Management. Business credit is your best friend. You can buy anything on business credit. You don't have to, they're still gonna look at your personal credit, but you're gonna purchase it in your business name. One property I did not, but once I went to the class, I learned that it should have been in my business name, so I contacted one of the closing companies, and they said they could go ahead and transfer it into my business name. Yep.
Iris, real quick, you've got a number of properties in Baltimore where in the past you didn't use Section 8, you used a program.
I used the program for two of the properties. That is a drug rehab company. And the first property that I told you guys about that did not need any work, it was 6 bedrooms, 4 baths. Perfect, nothing wrong with it. And this house, a couple of doors down, you know, I'm kind of nosy, and I'm gonna talk to all of the neighbors. They tell you, when you go look at the property, talk to the neighbors. They will tell you everything you need to know. Just, you know, strike up a conversation. Well, this house down the street, I kept seeing all of these women go in there. And I was like, what's going on? So I walked down the street and I said, excuse me, what's going on here? It's a lot of women I see coming and going. And she told me it was a house for women coming out of a drug rehab program being reintroduced to the neighborhood. So I got the person's name and number and I called them. I'm like, hey, I have a property up the street. I would like to do the same thing, have women or men come in and make it a housing for them. So he came to the property and he was like, yes, I can offer you $2,200 a month. I don't have to do anything, no repairs. I don't get a call about a toilet, none of that. They handle all of that. All I do is just get the check. So that's another good way that you could do it also.
So there's programs like that. There's programs for veterans.
Yeah, there are programs for veterans. I have a veteran, the house in Hyattsville, I use veterans for that. So it's a rooming house, all men over 45. That's just me. I like older people. And the veterans, they rent the rooms out. So that's a really good one. And you use that program also, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So they rent houses, they can do shared housing, rooms and things like that too.
And so the VA pays for part of the rent.
Yes. So back to this one. So right now we're renting, yes?
Great information. I got a question about marketing, the marketing campaign and what's been good for you guys. I know you said you walk the streets and you put the business card, but what else do you all do?
That's all I do. I don't post, I'm not a poster, so I don't post anything on social media. Mine is more so by word of mouth, what I do. And like I said, I put my business cards indoors.
How many are you putting out? How many cards are you passing out? Pretty much if you blanket a neighborhood, if you're gonna really do it for the day.
So if I go to Baltimore, I'll make a day out of it. And I'll go to different neighborhoods that I like. And I will just put my card in each door.
Are you putting
So
50
maybe
cards
like
in your hand?
100?
100, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Couple of hours out there a day.
I'd like to see your card when you get a chance. I
It's
didn't
just
have
a
one of
regular
them.
business card that says TLT Investments.
Did it say anything about buying houses?
It does not say I buy your house in 7 days, all cash.
Okay.
But when I post on Facebook, I will say that.
Okay.
I will buy your house all cash and close within 7 days.
So how did the lady know to call you when she had her house?
I put the card in her door.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I went to see a property 3 doors down from her, and that property was so messed up. I am a cosmetic rehabber. That's paint, carpet, basic stuff. And she called. And she didn't live there, so that's why it took 2 weeks for her to call me. So, yeah.
So I want to answer her question in terms of the marketing. And so in our Platinum Coaching program, we teach driving for dollars. And so Dana behind you has gotten a number of properties just driving almost what Iris does, but just driving neighborhoods, looking for properties that are vacant or abandoned. And so driving for dollars. All of these guys have found properties at the auction. And so we buy lots of properties at auctions. I use postcards. I think Karen uses postcards. And so I'll pick a list. My favorite list, as I said earlier, is out-of-state absentee homeless. And so you can buy that list off of PropStream, which is a CRM, Listability, Melissa Data. There's a bunch of places you can buy these lists. And so with those lists, you can send out postcards. We use virtual assistants to make phone calls as well. So we'll either buy a list with the phone numbers on there, or we'll buy a list that the phone numbers aren't on there. We'll use a skip tracing service like our REI Skip to get all the phone numbers. And we'll give those numbers to a virtual assistant, like out of the Philippines, and they'll use a dialer. We use Mojo Dialer, and they'll use our dialer from the Philippines to dial the list. And as I told my students yesterday, generally speaking, for every 600 calls, you should get 1 appointment.
Wow.
And out of around 50 appointments, you should close 1 deal. And those are sort of the numbers, give or take. And so we do that. So we do a lot of that. Social media, we do a lot of that. And so those are the main ways. And then just networking, branding yourself, networking. Those are the ways to get that you're going to get deals. Andre.
Yes, sir.
You're on page 14. So on page 14, Andre, give us the story of this Temple Hills property. Oh, I remember this. I remember we went live on this one.
Yeah, this actually fell from the sky. From God. So I was cutting hair. I'm a barber also. I used to own a barbershop in District Heights, Maryland. I sold my barbershop in March. I bought an RV. I wrapped it with real estate jargon that says we buy houses. I sell your house in 30 days, I give you $1,000. And just letting them know I do real estate. So I'm cutting hair inside, and I usually park on Branch Avenue in Temple Hills. It's Old Branch and Allentown Road. But I was parking in the parking lot, and the lady pulled up and said, "Is that you on the cover on the outside?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." She said, "Well, look, I don't know what to tell you, but I just need you to take over my mortgage." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Where you at?" I was like, "Where you at?" She said, "I'm right over here." So I said, "Oh, okay." So I walked right around there, and I was like, "God dang, it was a 5-bedroom house, right?" So I was like, "Oh, wow." I said, "Take over your mortgage." So I said, "Okay, sure." So I wrote it up, because I'm an agent. I wrote it up like I'm a listing, like I'm listing the house. I also wrote up a purchase and sale agreement. I try to get everything so I can know I got it locked up, right? So, so what happened? I ran it by Greg, and I said, "Greg, man, I came across this deal, and I know you always talk about subject to, and this lady don't want none of her equity because she had roaches, rats, she had everything. I mean, she had trash. I mean, up to here, like you know what I mean." And it was just
for us, that's good.
Yeah, it was
roaches and rats. Yeah.
I know.
You
Yes.
got those tenants
And so
out.
what happened, this lady was scared. She was afraid of her own house, basically. So she just wanted to get out, and she was going to pre-foreclosure. So she had stopped paying maybe a couple months back. And she owed like maybe $18,000, maybe a year, like behind or something like that. So she owed about $18,000. And so I said, man, this is a good deal. I can just pay and bring the mortgage current, $18,000. And then, but then I said, I got to renovate. But I talked to Greg, and Greg said, no, you got to, and I'm glad I talked to you. But he said, no, you got to buy her out right now. Because the lady didn't want any equity. She just wanted me to take the house off her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the house was already worth, the after repair value was like $440, and so she was already had a lot of equity in the house.
Mm-hmm.
She could have sold the house maybe for 300 some thousand, but and she owed like 190 something on her mortgage. So she was like, just take it. It's bats in the eye. I'm scared. I said, what? I said, man. So
Perfect. That's perfect.
I said, okay. I said, all right. I said, so when are you ready to? She said, you can tell me to get out Friday, and I'll be out Friday. I said, all right, you know what? I said, okay, all right, cool. So what happened from selling houses, and I deal with distressed properties as a listing agent. I usually get a lot of listings because I do a lot of marketing and cold calling and bandit signs. I do all the marketing stuff that he said that agents do. But I do all of that, and so what happened? Damn, I lost my train of thought. But
You were talking about
So
the
she said
back.
7 days, she'll be up
And
by
7 days.
Friday.
She heard that.
yeah, she said so. Okay, with the bath situation. So yeah, it's a good story. I'm trying to sum it up as much as I can. But okay, so what happened is that when Greg and them told me you got to buy her out, I said no. Okay, I deal with a lot of distressed properties, so I met my hard money lender by selling another investor houses. So the hard money lender, usually people don't want to deal with you because that was my first bird.
Right.
That Greg was talking about.
Right.
I usually buy houses cash out in Baltimore. So I got a lot of buy and hold, free and clear properties in Baltimore. But for this instance, normally hard money lenders want to have a relationship with you. They want to know that you have done this before. And so I got my clout from selling properties to another investor. And the investor just kind of laughed and was like, yeah, he worked with me. So the hard money gave me a loan. We went to settlement. I renovated the property. I spent like maybe $50,000. To be honest with you, midway into the renovation, I said, you know what? I want to get the biggest return on my investment.
Right.
I want to go ahead and put a kitchen downstairs. And it was already a 5-bedroom house. I said, you know what? It was 1,320 square feet upstairs, 1,320 square feet downstairs. I said, you know what? This could be a 3 2-bedroom upstairs, a 3 1-bedroom downstairs. Just add a kitchen, add a fireplace upstairs, a fireplace downstairs. I said I could just close these steps off.
Yep.
Bam! I got a 2-unit property.
Yeah,
So,
Your Eat Street.
huh?
Eat.
So long story short, I renovated the property. I did the DCSR loan like she was talking about. That was my exit strategy to get out the hard money loan. I used, DSCR, they don't look into, it's really no documents, even though they ask for a hell of a lot of documents. There's really no documentation because really they're not going off your personal income and all that stuff. They use the rent from the property. Once you rent the property, they use that as income.
What
So
do you
as
say that
long
was?
as the rent-
DSCR.
DSCR.
You did it without rent as well? Or you did it?
No, I had tenants.
Oh, okay.
I got tenants. So what happened, I did all of this in 6 months. I had to renovate, I had to rent, then I had to refinance and get the hard money people their money back, before I catch any penalties or anything like that, or they can foreclose or something like that. So it was a stressful 6 months because I had to go ahead and hustle, you know what I mean? But it was done. I got a family downstairs. And actually, I was supposed to be renting out for 2,100. And I kept saying, another person over there and another girl. I said, what are they doing here? So I wound up renegotiating the rent because they asked me how much more. So I'm getting 2,800 for downstairs.
Wow.
And upstairs, this lady was misplaced because it's this place called CRS Temporary Housing or whatever like that. CRS Temporary Housing. And what they do is they place people who like might have like water damage or fire or something to their house.
Right.
They'll put them like short term,
Right.
maybe 7, 8, 9 months in the property. So I wanted to get out of my hard money. I really didn't want to deal with anybody short term, but they were saying, well, look, we'll pay you $500 more than what you're renting it for, because I was renting for $2,250 upstairs. So they wound up paying me $2,750. So I'm getting $2,800 downstairs, $2,750 upstairs. You know what I'm saying? I already got people lined up, and then that's $600 to rent the upstairs. You know what I mean?
Do they
So-
pay you all that money up front, or they pay it per month?
So the temporary housing people, I was calling the shots on this one. I said, look, y'all gonna go on this one. Y'all gonna have to pay 2 months up front. You're gonna have to pay the security guard. They wind up sending me like $8,000 or something like that. And the tenant is beautiful. I mean, when I tell you this lady's a homeowner, I mean, she's barely there. She works all the time in the hospital. She's very quiet. The family got downstairs, they real quiet. You never even know they did. Like it's a blessing. Like this was a blessing right here. But yes, that bird was completed. Like I said, I refinanced. I just refinanced on the 28th of February. And I refinanced it to a 30-year mortgage.
You also refinancing under your business name? Right.
Yes. So if you look at the settlement statements that's on the paper, so I named my LLC after the property. That's what I learned
Oh, I
from
see.
Greg. So I named my LLC after the property, and I refinanced in that LLC.
Okay, then the tenants pay you in that LLC too, the
Yes,
same name?
yeah.
Okay.
Tenants pay me.
So then you guys probably have good accountants that can set you up as an LLC and do all your paperwork for the county and all that kind of stuff.
Well, so yes, I do have. I have family friends who like attorneys. Right now, I got a couple probate listings right now. If anybody looking to buy some properties, but I got a relationship with attorneys and who set things up for me, like. But I've learned along the line how to set up my own LLC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't need an attorney to set up an LLC.
Because see, what I'm thinking about, is we had an LLC once, and then the city wanted us to give them certain paperwork and
It's all
writing up the taxes.
It's all easy
Online,
stuff.
really.
You can do it yourself.
You can do it online.
And you can do it online. You
Okay.
can do it right now and have it back Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Are any questions for Andre?
Yeah, my question is, I see that you use Legal One Capital, and I'm currently working with them. Can you tell something about your experience working with them, and if there's any advantage to working with a local hard money lender versus somebody like yourself?
I didn't use Lehman One Capital as hard money. I had a private hard money lender. So Lehman One Capital was my refinance company. And I refinanced through Lehman One Capital. Because another investor, like they were talking about this guy named Marquise, he's like one of my mentors. He told me, about somebody and Lehman One who would take care of me, so I went over there. Eventually, initially I was supposed to try to get cash back at the table, but I don't know if it's, I don't know what it was. I'm gonna just say this, but I got a low appraisal. You know what I mean? And which means I was supposed to be getting cash back at the table. I wound up having to bring money to the table. So you always got to be prepared, like you're saying, in these situations. And like I said, they say using other people's money, but you also have to have your own money.
Yes.
And don't let nobody tell you that you don't need your own money. You need your own money, because I'm telling you that the hard money lender will let you drown before he give you that draw.
But what happened to you is interest rates went up. Cause you just
Interest rate.
refinanced, what, last month?
I just refinanced and I got a high interest rate. My interest rate is 9%. And the thing is that investors' interest rates are high anyway. But I have no prepayment penalties and I can refinance at any given time. You know what I mean? So a lot of lenders will give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like you got to stay in it for 5 years or this, or you have a penalty. If you do refinance, you have to pay so much and bring so much to the table. I don't have that. I have a no prepayment penalty, which made my interest rate a little higher. So, and that was fine with me because I'm not paying a mortgage. You know what I mean?
I'm curious about, you just mentioned your appraisal came in lower. When they did your appraisal, how did it go to the other comps that was it?
So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I bought my own comps. I was there to greet the guy. I walked him around. He praised the house. Oh my God, you got the best. Oh my God, your contractors are the best. This guy I gave him 450 comps. The guy gave me like a 412.
That's what I'm saying. Don't make sense, especially the way you did your basement. That don't make any sense.
It was no, look, I'm a realtor, you know what I'm saying? So you know I was looking at everything. It was no house, I mean, and that's why I say, I don't know what it was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean,
that,
if you watch the news.
Yeah.
So you have to watch the news to know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, but guess what? They can't keep a good man down because my rent was already had renters.
Right.
And they couldn't lowball me on the rental comps because guess what I had? They already was signed contracts, they already had the price of the rent, and I was like, here you go.
Yeah.
So it was nothing they could do.
Yeah.
They was just like, oh, well, we got to give them this. And that's how I was able to refinance, because they was going to try to get your boy, but they wasn't going to. So I feel like Rocky at the end. That's how I feel.
So Rocky or Creed?
Yeah, Creed, yeah, whatever.
Your own cash and to get the deal going and get to the first draw. Is there a percentage what percentage of maybe the repair cost or maybe a deal do you feel like you need on hand as far as?
I'm gonna say this: if they tell you your repair cost is $50,000, have that. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you won't have to front the money. Like you doing all the legwork. Once you finish and complete, see the draws go like this.
Yeah.
You have to say you doing a kitchen, or you know what? They want to see all the floor installed. They want to see all the recessed lights up there. They want to see all this. They might even add some more stuff on there. We want to have the sink installed. We want to have this. All that's 100% complete. And then when we come back, then we'll give you $8,000, $9,000. You already spent that. You already went back and forth to Home Depot. You already did all this. You just jumped the hurdles and did all this. And then the lender might come out and say, you know what, you ain't do this to our liking. Or, you know what, we told you we wanted all this complete. We see that you did that too. Because say your contractor jumping around, or they might start, they downstairs, but for real, they wanted the whole living room completed. But you're like, oh, that's nothing. So you got your guys downstairs too. When they come back, they want to see what they said completed. If not, they might give you a partial draw. So instead of giving you $10,000, you'd already spent $10,000. They might say, yeah, you worth $4,200.
So if the draw schedule, whatever the money that you need, make sure you have more than that.
Yeah.
Because you just never know miscellaneous things.
You never
Always
know.
have a reserve.
You never
You have a
know.
question?
Yeah, I just had a question about the LLC. So you said that I'm assuming you put every property in its own LLC,
Yes.
right? And then at tax time, you just do the taxes for each one individually. And because we don't have the joint one, is that what all of you guys practice? Or is
Well,
there,
it's
I've
expensive.
seen other,
You could put a couple of them in, like if you could put a couple of them, and I was gonna let, but you could put, like I have like maybe 2 of them in one LLC.
based on your risk, right? Like how much you're
Yeah,
willing to risk.
but like with this property, I said, no, I'm just keep that as one LLC. Because you know, every property is a business. So you gotta think of it like that. You know what I mean? Like every property is its own business. So it's its own entity.
So that goes on your Schedule E? Is that what that happened?
Well, no, it's a schedule. What's C?
I think it's C.
Yeah.
So C is your itemized, basically your profit and loss. But I thought the E is when you yourself own
Look,
property.
don't give me the lie, I just buy houses.
I just looked at the schedule sheet. I just looked at the schedule sheet.
You can have an
I
escort.
just
It
looked at the
depends on what
schedule
it
sheet
is.
last night, so I know it's
Nah,
outside property law. And your E is usually when you own yourself own property, but I was just curious. Okay.
So to answer
I know
your
I'm a-
question, all of mine, except for, my tax person said not to have a separate LLC for each property,
Huh.
because that is a lot of,
Right.
you're gonna have to pay her to do.
Right.
So I have, 8 in one LLC and then
And is
another.
that based on value? Like I know some people
No,
say
just-
don't put but so much in one, because it's basically risk, right? As far as how much you're willing to lose if something were to happen in this section.
Somebody
Yeah.
can sue you and then, you know.
Right,
And then you have all
And
these
then you got all
assets.
these assets in
Right.
one, which one?
Oh, I
Right,
see what you're
right.
saying.
So I think putting 8 is too risky,
Mhm.
because if
I
somebody
see.
falls down and hurts themselves on one property,
Mhm.
everything in that whole LLC can get sued.
Yeah.
So I put 2 or 3.
Put 2 or
Max,
3?
I know the
Yeah.
max, I heard the max was like
It's 4.
Right.
Somebody told me the max was 4 too.
Yeah.
And we do it that way for a number of reasons, but one of which is you owe money every year on each LLC.
Mhm.
But we don't want to put 8 or, even somewhere around that just because of the liability.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'll change it this year.
Well, also putting them in a trust will really protect you from lawsuits. So if you put those in a trust,
Yeah.
but definitely separate them is great, but putting them in a trust, that would definitely give you a lot of protection against any lawsuits.
Yeah, that's
So
the-
actually, I did sign up for a trust. My meeting is March 20th.
Yeah, and if you do the trust, because you got the LLC, you put the LLC into the trust, or you put the property in trust, the LLC.
The LLC in a trust,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Would that be irrevocable one or revocable one?
Irrevocable.
Irrevocable, okay.
Dana?
A trust will protect you
Yes.
in that matter?
Set up the right way.
Nice.
Valerie?
So based on what Dre just said, which were like horror stories about appraisal, what if you do anything differently do you do so that you don't deal with that?
You said,
There's not a lot that you can do that he didn't do. You can bring comps to, and give to the appraiser.
I
Like
challenged the
Marsha tells
appraiser.
Yeah.
I challenged them, and my mentor is Thurman Battle, is actually a broker of Bennett Roots, but he told me, hey, you good luck to you, because I've never seen nobody win a challenge.
Sometimes they do.
But he was right. They didn't even move my appraisal up $1. They just
You seem kind of salty about that.
because when you put it like, and see, Greg, I'm like Greg. Greg has all the people and everything in place where Greg can kind of be hands off. He say, hey, yeah, go ahead, do the Home Depot. I was really the one doing all the Home Depot. I was going back and forth. I was running Baltimore to get stuff from this and doing this. Like, it was crazy. I was getting
Don't
contracted
don't
from
hate.
all
Don't hate.
boys.
I feel like you hate.
Was the appraiser local?
No, I'm not hating. What I'm saying is,
Was the appraiser local?
one day I hope to be as good as Greg, because when I'm saying to you, and it's a lot, but it's rewarding in the end. It's rewarding in the end. A lot of people won't understand it. You'll have a lot of peers, family members who won't understand, but you know what the mission is. And the thing is it's a lot, mentally, physically, and everything. But once you get your footing right, and I feel like since I've experienced it and everything like that, I think for the next time around, I'll be, things will be a little easier. But it definitely was an experience. And like you said, you have to have your finances in order or have a way to make that money, because that money will run out. I'm telling you.
Was he local? Was the appraiser local?
No,
from
this guy
California?
came from Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I was like, why would they send a Baltimore guy up here to me? But they did, and I don't know, but I've heard a lot about people fixing appraisals and stuff like that, and the PG County area. So I've heard a lot about that.
Go ahead, Dana.
And in so many words, in my words, I think Greg was saying, once you get to Greg's level, things will change.
Yeah. Things get better.
Because
Dana's just picking on me.
at the starting level, it's just a lot to do. It's a
lot, but once you establish, then the contractors, I mean, he has contractors on lock. And it's become a different ball.
And you gotta have trust too. So the thing is, you gotta trust your contractors. And my thing is that I got some good contractors, but this was my first time around using these contractors. But now I trust them a little bit more, where next time around, I'll be able to say, hey, y'all go to Home Depot, just bring me the receipts back and all. But this time I was like, nah, I'm going there, I'm gonna use my military discount. I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? And it was a lot. And then I gotta pick up my son from school right here. So
No, we got our own problem. Hey, so look.
That's reality. That's reality on that first deal. I can't say that.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
But guess what? That's extra income. Go ahead.
We'll do that. We'll do that in a
Yes.
second. Let's just
I got my
finish up.
business card too.
So to Dana's point, it's not. It's you have to learn the game. That's the biggest thing. Like it's education. You've got to learn. I only know because I've been doing it for so long and I've gone through a whole lot of deals. So there's probably not a situation that these guys are gonna have that I haven't experienced myself. And so it just comes with experience. Like Dana is killing the game, but he's really been doing it for, has it been 2 years yet?
Yeah.
About 2 years, and he's killing it. Same with Andre, about 2 years.
Yep, 2 years.
Killing.
Dana's very modest.
Yeah, Dana's a sponge, and so that's what you guys have to be. So Dana's one of our coaching students. He's a sponge. Everything that we teach him, he does. To the point that we were doing Kent Town, we were doing a property, him and I, a property in Forest Heights, and probably another one, I don't remember. And he out negotiated the negotiator. Wait, let me say that again. I'm gonna throw this water on. I was like,
It's on video.
I was like, Dana. He said, well, didn't you teach us to negotiate like that? So another negotiation, we negotiate with the motivated seller, right? Now, if you're wholesaling, there's two negotiations, one with the seller and then one with the cash buyer.
Right.
And so I'm the cash buyer, Dana's just, and he wouldn't relent. He's like, no, Greg, no. And in the end, I let him win. Don't take notes. I see Umar taking notes right now. Don't take no notes. And use it against me. And so, but look, you guys, we got one more, but you guys look hungry. We don't have time, but I think part of the lesson is you got to take action. So these guys have taken action. You've got to learn the game. And so that you know how to negotiate, you know how to talk to contractors, you know exactly what the contractors need. I've never been a contractor, but I could build a house. I've done that many deals. I know the whole permit process, inspection process, everything, but it comes with time. And so take your time and learn the game. Take your time and build up your cash reserves through wholesaling. Take your time and buy and hold one property a year. Take your time and surround yourself with like-minded people. I feel like I should say one more, take your time. That was a pretty good one. Somebody else give me a take your time.
Take your time. On a serious note though, for real, if y'all was thinking about investing, get in Greg's coaching program or just learn.
Let's let Keith speak a little bit about the coaching program. Go ahead, Keith.
Before we do that, make sure you take time to fill out the.
Oh, that's the take the time I was looking for.
Because we're always curious about content and bringing good programs to this Lunch and Learn. So write it down. But to talk about some of our products, our investing products, we do have a platinum coaching program where we're going to hold your hand and guide you so that you're not making mistakes and you can have more confidence in your investing goals. I'm going to be here. We can talk, set up an appointment to meet with me, get you going. I think also in the back, if you're interested in learning more about the coaching program and signing up, you can sign up today. We are going to be having a shadow event tomorrow. We're going to be going to Baltimore to see properties and have lunch and network, fellowship. So it's a really good program. I'm quite proud of my brother to build this. So there's no need for you guys to try to create your own wheel. We got the wheel. And so you just gotta trust that wheel to put on your buggy cart so you can go.
When you say you're gonna take us by the hand, right?
He's gonna take you by the hand.
We're gonna take you by the hand.
Hold her hand, hold her hand.
After we sign up, because I'm gonna need more than hand. After we sign up, do you like put the rope around us and pull
Yes.
us? What we
We're gonna hold
gonna
your leg, we're gonna hold your little pinky toe, we're gonna hold everything.
They do everything they say.
I need you to grab the rope and kind of pull me, you know?
Because it is a lot. There is a lot there, but you need someone to peer with, to really get a really good understanding, and we're pretty good at that. Yes.
I tried this many years ago without mentorship and fell flat on my face. The reason that I'm successful, you call my name 3 times, is because I'm in this group. That's the only reason.
Awesome.
And so when we say we hold your hand, you'll have one-on-ones with us, especially with Keith. We meet weekly to do Q&A. If you have questions, we meet weekly. Monthly mastermind. We had a mastermind last night. We go to each other's properties. And tomorrow we'll go to 2 or 3 properties, and then we'll reconvene and have a networking lunch. So with Platinum Coaching Students, we're having lunch tomorrow. At what's the name of the restaurant? Sabatino's in Little Italy in Baltimore. And so and then you get we have what's called Coach Accountable. You get your own like platform, coaching platform, where it has all of our courses and all of our marketing tools. Keith uses that to communicate with you guys. So it has everything that you need in terms of, I talked a lot about subject to contracts. I talked some about owner financing. All those are there. Of course, these assignment agreement, purchase contract, contractor agreement,
Videos.
There's a bunch of videos in Coach Accountable. So all that is there, but we touch you at least every week, a couple times a month. So we have the best program in the deal.
Do you have a marketing company that does your business cards that could, and do you have attorneys that you recommend to set up? Well, you say I can set up on myself, but I'm too analytical to do the LLC myself.
We'll show you how to do that.
Okay. Now, the thing that resonates with me today is actually Iris. Because I'm gonna give you that because she is the breaking point. I am a person that will walk a neighborhood that I like and just put my business card, I won't be bothered, but I'll put my business card, right? And I see that works. And see, I'm not going to dial. I'll go down for dollars. I'm not going. So when I see that she's being successful by doing the business card, which is something that I will do, then I can do that.
So that's wonderful that you said that, because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Some people can walk neighborhoods, some people can't.
Yeah.
And some people can go to auctions, some people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I've done auctions. Yeah.
Or driving for dollars, or social media. A lot of our people do really good with social media and cold calling. Other people, that's just not their thing.
Right.
And so you pick 1 or 2 marketing strategies and you become great at that.
Okay.
And the ones that you feel uncomfortable with, you don't bother that, because you're not going to be consistent with it.
Exactly.
So whatever you do, you have to be consistent.
That's the reason why I haven't done what I'm supposed to, because I haven't seen anything until Iris just spoke. I've done auctions, of course. But then when she just spoke, I said, "Oh yeah, that's me." All the way live.
All right,
Yeah.
Iris.
So yeah. So that's it.
If you're
that was
going
it.
to be walking the neighborhoods in Baltimore, please look the part of
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore.
Go dress down, right?
Yes, dress down.
I got dressed down. Right. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
But dress the part, don't
Yeah.
dress all up, you know.
Yeah.
I look the
Don't
part
bring your
when I'm out
Mercedes
there.
Benz.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's true.
And so look, you guys, in the handout on page 18, we do have a lender that I've used, some other people have used too, to refinance. When we talk about the Burr method, at the end, we want to refinance. And so they do a good job with that. All the type of programs that we talked about, they have. On page 19, we have an investor-friendly title company. We talk about building a team, and you've got to have a team of people, including a lender, title company. If you're not an agent. And so you need to have a team. And so these are some of the team members. We have on page 20, a platinum coaching program that Keith just talked about. And so if you're interested in that, talk to Keith. We have a real estate brokerage that most of you guys probably know, Bennett Realty Solutions. We are investor friendly. We are 100% commission based. And so listing and selling real estate, you guys, let me talk to the realtors. Listing and selling real estate is not going to make you wealthy. It's not. It's active income. You sell a house, you get paid that one time. It's active income. You're not going to build wealth just selling real estate. It's not until you start investing in real estate that you become wealthy. You buy and hold a property, that's passive income. And so you guys who have a real estate license, part of the reason why you really haven't gotten into investing is because your surroundings. You're in a brokerage. There's great brokerages out here, but you're in a brokerage that focuses on active income. You need passive income. You want to be able to retire financially free. You want to build a legacy. You want to build generational wealth. You want to retire on your own terms. You don't do selling real estate, unfortunately, is a job. It's a job. You sell a house, you get paid, active income. We need to bring more passive income into our lives. And the way we do that is we're buying residential properties. We're buying assisted living facilities. We're buying Airbnb. We're buying multifamily properties. That should be your goal, is to buy those things. Now that money, you buy that property one time, now you're making money over and over and over again through the cash flow. It's building equity. It's going to help you in retirement while you're living. And then you're going to pass that asset on to your children.
Mm-hmm.
I have one child. Oh, she's going to be filthy rich, that girl. But most of you guys have children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to start thinking, am I building a legacy for them? Am I going to help make their lives better? You want to build generational wealth. And that's what you do with real estate investing. But it's about being around the right people and talking it every day. I mean, we talk it every day. We're going to have some great conversations tomorrow because we're all going to be together. We had a great conversation last night at our mastermind last night that we had. And so you've got to get around the people to talk, even if it costs money. And for us, I haven't talked to Keith, but we can discount it today, if it's okay with Keith, to $2,500. And that's 6 payments of what?
6 payments of $497.
$497. And so if you want to join the program today, we can. There's Harry and Stephanie in the back that you can talk to them. But coaching will get you to your goals a lot faster.
How long?
6 months.
6 months.
And then it's going to minimize your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of mistakes in 30-some years of investing. You get to learn from my mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll minimize your mistakes. You'll get to your goals faster. One deal, one wholesale deal, one deal more than pays for a coaching program. And so I would highly advise that. Be a realtor, join our brokerage. If you're not a realtor, you guys, listen to this. I highly advise you, if you're not a realtor, to get your real estate license. Do you have to have your real estate license to invest? No, they don't have a real estate license. They're investing. Here's one reason why I say get your real estate license. Was you on last night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget about last night.
And so the state of Maryland passed a new bill. I think it's Bill 301.
Hasn't passed yet.
Huh?
Hasn't passed yet.
No, it has not passed.
First hearing is clear, okay.
It hasn't passed.
But anyway, if it clears, you guys, and I guess you guys know where I'm going with this, they're going to require us or you to have a real estate license in order to wholesale. Right now, they're going to allow you to wholesale one deal without a license, but then anything after that, you got to have a license.
Yeah, 'cause it's so similar. Yeah, you're kind of the middle person.
And so my suggestion is, instead of fighting it, Obviously, there's ways around it. There's some loopholes that only I know. We always find loopholes, right? Connie, we always find loopholes. But my suggestion is to get your license. For that reason, I got my license 30 years ago because I just wanted to be a better investor and just started selling real estate. And so in terms of passive income as well, we also have a insurance company. And so Stephanie heads up our insurance company. And so if you're interested in investing in investment products through life insurance, where we can take the cash value, I think it was last month where we did infinite banking, where you can be your own bank and finance your own deals through your life insurance policy, where you can take advantage of the cash value that's in your whole life policy or your universal life policy and take advantage of that while you're living.
What if we have one set up somewhere else? Do we have to get rid of that one and start this one? Or-
No, but what I would suggest is to let us take a look at it. Let us do a policy review, because you may or may not have what I would call the old insurance. The new insurance, not only does it give you the cash value, but it gives you what's called living benefits.
Yeah.
And so if you have a chronic, critical, or terminal illness, your policy can help pay for that. And you want to make sure it's building cash and it's accumulating cash while it's in that policy. So then you can take that cash out tax-free and invest it in real estate.
Right.
Anything else, you guys? What are some closing remarks? What's some advice you would give them? Iris, since you're the favorite, Iris.
You see the T-shirt, you have to get the
I see
billion
you.
dollar
I
mindset.
see you.
No, seriously, you do have to surround yourself with like-minded people. I always say that. You do have to invest in a coaching class or a mentor, someone, but this group is really great. I really learned a lot of things from this group. And also, I like to read different books on different things involving real estate, money, business, all things like that. So some of the books I can throw out is the $1 Million Mindset, or, The Millionaire Next Door, or The Richest Man in Babylon. But you have to surround yourself with people like this. And you have to listen to podcasts, webinars, just different things. And just go for it. I'm a regular person. He's a regular person, she's a regular person. We're not, this is B right here.
That's right.
So this
That's
is
right.
B, so she's different, but seriously, I'm just an average person from DC Northeast. So if I can do it, everybody can do it, and it will work out.
So what happens after the 6 months? Is there another program?
Yeah,
or-
you can renew.
Okay.
All right, Penny?
Yeah, so just really quickly, like I said, alluded to earlier, it's a full circle moment for me. So I joined the coaching program probably March. We did our first, March of last year. I did my first shadow event at one of Iris's property, right? I literally asked her, how did you get this property? I remember you had the assets over liability shirt.
Yes, I had my assets over liabilities. When I go to Baltimore or looking at properties, I wear something. So to let the people know I'm out here looking at, you know what I mean? So I have an assets over liabilities T-shirt from Earn Your Leisure. If any of you guys are familiar with them. Yeah. So yes, look at videos like that.
So okay, I said, who did you get the property from? She gave me the wholesaler, got on the wholesalers list. Maybe 2 weeks after that, I had 2 or 3 weeks, I had a property under contract, the next block over. So when I say be around like-minded people and a coach and things like that, it's not reinventing the wheel. I'm literally doing exactly what she did. And so now we're sharing a panel together. Full circle.
That's amazing.
And I'm seriously not special. I just turned 33. Last year I didn't own any properties. Now I own 4. So if I can do it, you guys can do it too. Nothing special about me.
That's right.
I just, I would tell everybody, if you're thinking about getting into real estate or real estate investor, just go ahead and go and get into it. Because you can't have the analysis paralysis. It'll never happen because you know why? Because there's a lot of fear. You know, you can get scared to get into this business. You just got to force yourself into it. And the thing is, you got to just know. I don't know if you have a relationship with the higher power of God or whatever, but you know, I will say, if you have faith, you know, the God, he got you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to fail in order to, you know what I'm saying, succeed, basically. So you have to, you know. So everything is a learning lesson. But I will say, just go forward, get into a coaching program, just stay motivated, keep always learning, always try to be a sponge, always just soak up information. Always, they got YouTube University, they have these coaching programs. Get with Greg. Greg answer your phone call. Greg's a millionaire, but he's still. Hey, what's up?
He doesn't answer my call.
He doesn't answer mine.
So the thing is to have, like you say, surround yourself. So you want to, and Keith has,
Every week
you
you
know,
gotta have a
Thursday
special
night.
7 days.
Carissa, do I answer your phone calls?
Wow.
And also Keith will teach you, he has a Thursday night coaching call where he teach people how to cold call and what to say.
Yeah.
So the thing is that's good to have because it's not just, you can use it anywhere. You can use that when you're door knocking. You can use that just running into somebody on the street, in the mall, anywhere. So it's good to know the jargon and know what to say and what you're speaking about. And just go for it.
All right, you guys, appreciate you guys being here. We've got lunch here. One last thing on page 23. We are having a all-day boot camp on April the 29th. All-day boot camp right now. The cost is only $225 for all day. We feed you like 3 times a day. And we're going to have panels like this there. We are going to talk about infinite banking, buy and hold strategies. We're going to give you all the analytics to how you're going to become successful and how to set up your business where your success is predictable. And so you want to have a predictable business.
23.
It's 23. What did I say?
29.
23. I'm sorry. And so you want to have a predictable business. And so we're going to help you set your business model up so that it's predictable. And so if you say to me, I want to close at least one wholesale deal a month, I'm gonna give you all the analytics at the boot camp on how you're going to do that. Okay, and so sign up for the boot camp. Harry and Stephanie have the link for that in the back. I just want to thank you guys for being here. Look, I'm 33 too, and so is Iris. Andre's about 43.
I wish. No, I mean, I wish I was.
I'm gonna lie and say I'm 33 too.
I'm not lying.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. Look, we have the ability to live up to our fullest potential. And honestly, sometimes you don't even know what your fullest potential is. Until you really get around people to see what other people are doing. And so where you are now is not where you're going to end up if you keep like pushing and grinding every single day. And so that's what this is all about. We want to build wealth. That's why we're here. That's why we look at, YouTube videos and things like that, read books. We want to be great. And we want to change the dynamics of our families. And so real estate and real estate investing is the best way to do that. But you've got to be around people that's going to hold your hand and teach you how to do this. And we're going to do that for you. All right, you guys. So thank you guys. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you guys soon. There's food in the bag. You guys did a good job.
Oh, your success.